crowd is on its feet to an extent. As Don Baylor will step in to pinch hit for Bobby Meacham. A single by Pascal. Randolph was robbed by Baines for the second out. And then a walk to Pagliarulo, and there is former President Richard Nixon on his feet in the Yankee owner's box.
Seaver's ready to work now to Don Baylor. And it's a high fly ball. It should be playable. Nichols is moving over. Nichols is there. The ball game is over. Seaver has won 300. He has become the 17th man in the history of baseball to win 300 games. Seaver will turn it loose now. A 40-year-old terrific Tom Seaver. Look at the emotion spilling out all over. There's his family.
Welcome to 12-Ounce Sports Radio and The Burn with Mitch Show. Here's your host, Mitch Bernstein.
Good evening, everybody. I welcome you to 12-Ounce Sports, and the show is called The Burn with Mitch on 12-Ounce Sports. I hope everybody is doing okay. I know that around the country, school has started, as it has with me today. So back into the swing of things. It's the end of the summer. Fall is approaching, and that means several things. One of which, most importantly, probably is football. We're going to get into that in a minute. Welcome to the show. This is your host, Mitch Bernstein, on The Burn with Mitch. That opening was a tribute to my favorite player in all of baseball, Tom Seaver, who passed away last week. And we had a tough week in sports and in entertainment. Chadwick Boseman, nobody really knew that he had colon cancer. He passed away. And most recently, we lost Lou Brock. So it has been a tough week for us who love our sports and baseball and people who we really looked up to provide us with some escape. And these three gentlemen absolutely did. They're gone, but we're going to keep their memories alive. And we're going to do that one way tonight by having one special guest come on at the end of the show, 7:30. Brian Wright's coming on. We're going to talk about Tom. He wrote a book. He's written a few books, and specifically we're going to talk about Tom Seaver because he is very familiar with his New York Mets team. But let me review the show, and we'll get to that in just a minute. So at 6:20, Ryan Hallam is coming on. Ryan is a great guy. He's on Twitter quite a bit. His Twitter handle is @FightingChance. He's with Fantasy Alarm. He is one of the main guys, let's put it that way, if you're interested in any kind of fantasy, including if you watch the TV show Survivor. Ryan, I don't know how he does it. He puts together all this information and gets us points for specific tasks or things that happen on that show, Survivor. And you get in it just for fun. There's no money involved. There's no prize except for bragging rights. So Ryan is coming on at 6:20. We're going to talk about some fantasy. He's obviously hugely busy right now, and we're glad he was able to give us some time to talk about fantasy football and his thoughts on football in general as we approach this season starting on Thursday. Can you believe it's already Thursday that the NFL starts? I was talking to somebody at work today, and it's like, what? We can't believe it's starting. but it is. A lot of people are happy. So then at 7 o'clock, I'm hoping that we have Russell Crazy Legs Patterson. Been messaging him on Facebook. Hopefully he'll be able to give me a call tonight. And Russell played a lot of baseball back in the day, and especially when I talked to him about his stint with the Indianapolis Clowns in the Negro Leagues. He played from 1960 to 1961, and a lot of other baseball, organized baseball he played, but primarily want to talk to Russell about his time in the Negro Leagues. And then, like I said, at 7:30, we have Brian Wrights coming on, and we are going to talk about the Mets, not the Mets now, who were able to split with my Phillies the last 4 games. But we're going to talk to Brian a little bit more about the time when Tom Seaver and those New York Mets played and brought a championship in 1969 to New York and the New York Mets. So we'll have a little nostalgia time at 7:30. So that's our show. Let me give you some more information about some things coming up that you'll be interested in before we get to Ryan's call at 6:20. So, as I have spoken about before, you know about 12 Ounce Sports, and there's a lot of unbelievable stuff coming up with 12 Ounce Sports. You want to stick with us because you're going to really enjoy a lot of what's coming up. So you can also find 12 Ounce Sports. You can, if you go now on your TV and your smart TV, and you can download Zingo TV. Go ahead and do that. All of our shows are on there live, whether it's just radio or audio, or there is some video on there. And we've had baseball on there, a men's baseball league, esports on there. And I'll tell you in a few minutes what's coming up on Thursday with Captain Lou. But get on there, log in, download it, use the promo code 12OZ, that's 12OZ when signing up, and you'll be able to watch and listen for free. And there are a lot of other channels on there, which is great, but you also want to listen to 12 Ounce Sports because there's a lot of good sport content. Hockey, football now, gambling, Vegas Squares, that stuff. I mean, there's so much going on right now, and it's great. So a lot of great hosts. These guys know their stuff, and we enjoy bringing the information to you and interacting with you social media wise, and if in fact they take phone calls too. So go to your TV now, download Zingo TV. We're on channel 761. Log in, sign up, use 12OZ as a code to sign up as a promo code, and then you'll be there and listening to all of our shows. And with all sports going on right now, favorite time of the year, take advantage of those sports investments. If you're interested in doing a little bit of wagering, go to mybookie.ag. We have officially partnered with them to get you the best deal possible. So when you sign up on mybookie.ag, when you punch in the promo code 12OZ Sports, you'll get that money. You'll get a $1,000 deposit bonus, up to $1,000 bonus matched when you sign up. So that's 12 Ounce Sports. When signing up on mybookie.ag, get your deposit matched up to $1,000 and start doing a lot of fun gambling. You know, to spend a lot, but you know what? Get on there. It's a lot of fun. You'll enjoy it. Get on the site, at least take a look at it. All the sports are going. No reason not to get on there if you like doing that kind of stuff. All right, so a couple things, like I said, coming up on Thursday. Captain Lou, who follows me typically on Tuesdays, will be on Thursday with a special, an NFL preview show from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Zingo 761. He's got 4 amazing guests. Dave Burkett at Freep Sports, that's FREEP Sports. I believe that's Stefania _ESPN. I don't know Stefania, but supposedly she's got like hundreds of thousands of followers and she knows what she's talking about. I don't follow that much on ESPN, but she is amazing from what I understand. Several guys freaked out when they heard that Lou had her coming on the show, on the previous show. So Stefani knows what she's talking about. We have Eagles Talk coming up on the show Thursday with Lou, and at Kazar NFL. Kazar, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Kazar NFL. Also, lots of folks following him and talking about the NFL and the season, which actually starts, like I said, on Thursday. Go figure. And then, if you have the ability right now, go on 12 Ounce Sports on Twitter. We've got several polls going, or have had several polls going this week about having us hosts get on and stream some games this Sunday. So we have a tie for one of those games. As I looked at the poll this afternoon, I believe it closed. It closed 2:30 Central to vote on one of the games that we were going to be streaming live and analyzing and having a good time with that. So pay attention to the poll, see what we're doing. Go on 12 Ounce Sports and check out what we'll be doing. That results of the poll will come out, I believe, I'm hoping, sometime before Thursday. So everybody will get set up for Thursday for Lou's show, and then we'll know exactly what games we're streaming. We'll be streaming on 12 Ounce Live. So on Sunday. So get on there, check it out. A lot of fun coming up. I read today fans are going to be in. Some fans, 5,700 fans are going to be in Colorado for the Denver game, I believe. So who knows? It may work out that some lucky people will get to the games in person. This season. And won't that be fun? Even though we're going through all this COVID stuff, it seems like, though there are cases still coming out at colleges and universities. Are you freaking kidding me? Okay, so I have to stop because I'm watching the Phillies play the worst team in the major leagues, and now after they started out with a 4-1 lead after the third, they are now losing 5-4. Does that figure? And Hector Neris is in. Oh, goody. We probably have the worst bullpen in the major leagues, so who knows how the hell this game is going to end up. I just don't understand it. Look at it. In the fifth inning, Verdugo homered, Devers homered. In the sixth inning, Dahlbeck for the Red Sox homered, and now Devers doubled to deep right, and Verdugo scored. And let me look at the box score. I'm going to get on the freaking roll here, and I'm not going to be freaking happy. Look at Boston. They got 10 hits. It's the worst team in the major leagues. They have 10 hits, and we have 5. This is so disgraceful. It's embarrassing. Again, embarrassing. They have a lead. The bullpen sucks, and they can't keep it. Oh, I can't wait for Ryan to call in 20 minutes to get me off, and 7 minutes to get me off of this thing because I'm really pissed. This is ridiculous. Anyway, it drives me up a freaking wall, these Phillies. So we're gonna football's opening up Thursday, and it looks like people will be able to go see them. College football. There were some games on this past week. Nobody in the stands, obviously, but if these teams can show that they can play and it can be safe and there's not a big outbreak, great. All the power to them, and there will be a football season and hopefully a lengthy one. I know, though, the college campuses, kids that I know who are in college right now, one of them being Penn State, another being, I believe, Missouri or Missouri State. There's a bunch of cases. Kids are in Vermont, I heard. Kids are having people are having parties, and it's just not the way to go around. It's just not the way to do it. So I've heard that Penn State has said that if they have any more cases, if it blows up, they're going to send people home, and that's the right thing to do. So people have to, kids have to be responsible and make sure they're doing the right thing. We want this thing to go away, preferably the sooner the better. By the end of the year would be great. Then we talk about a vaccine, and who knows what else what happens after that. But you still got to wear your masks. Still got to wash your hands. You still got to be safe in getting in with groups of people. If you can stay away from groups, that would be fine. And I'm hoping we have, I bet you this is Ryan coming up. Hello, who's this?
Ryan.
Is this Ryan Hallam, my buddy?
That it is.
Ryan, how the heck are you?
Very good. How are you, sir?
You doing awesome?
I am doing awesome. Actually, I had a very good time.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. So, Ryan, I just looked at my Phillies. They were winning, and now they're losing.
Oh, really? I didn't even look at baseball yet today.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I thought you were going to laugh and say, so what else is new?
I've been knee deep in I do this game preview article every week. It's like every single game that's due tomorrow. So, like, the last 2 days I've just been pounding that out. Oh, they're only down by 1.
Yeah, but they had a 4-1 lead, as usual.
Well, you can't pitch, so you'll be all right.
No, you don't understand. We have Zach Eflin going this game who really can't pitch. And then you have Vince Velasquez who really can't pitch.
Yeah, you guys aren't exactly rolling in pitchers either, I guess.
Not at all. Well, let's go to football. Thank you for coming on, Ryan. You are the go-to guy for fantasy. And I'm so glad to get you on. And I know you're busy, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk. So football, can you believe football starts in 2 days?
2 days. Actually, I was having that conversation with somebody yesterday. I can't believe it's only a few days away. And yeah, it's
Isn't that nuts?
And it really seems like, knock on wood, I know they really haven't started traveling yet, but like everything is in really good shape.
That's what I just said. Yeah, I was like, if they can pull this off with a 53-man roster plus more on the practice squad now, kudos to the NFL,
And not to mention that their players haven't exactly shown, the best personal judgment usually over the years. So for them to so far do this well, I'm shocked, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great thing. Did you read today that Denver in Colorado, the governor said that they could have 5,700 people at the game on Sunday or upcoming?
I did see that. Yeah, there's one. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Miami was going to let 12,000 in. It was 20%. Jerry Jones wants to have a full place.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's going to happen.
We'll see what happens with that. And God, let's hope that doesn't happen.
He wants tailgating and everything. I tweeted that last week. He's like, oh, Dr. Jerry with his glove. I'm like, ugh.
Oh, God.
Dr. Jerry, stay away from me.
Oh, my God. Let's hope that doesn't. Well, with him, yes, it probably will, unfortunately.
Especially in Texas where, they haven't exactly been following the rules the whole time either. But
Yeah. I mean, some have, but yeah, majority, So here's the question. So I want to get your take. Before we get to the actual fantasy part, looking at the NFL right now, who are you looking at? What do you think? Well, first of all, what are you thinking of that Tampa Bay Bucks team?
I think they're going to score a lot of points this week. I think New Orleans is a pretty good defense, but I think they are probably both going to score 30 points, especially now with Fournette. I think he is solidified it because I thought the running game was going to kind of be weak because I don't have any confidence in Ronald Jones, but now that they have like an actual running back, I think they're going to probably score. My only concern is watching the end of last year in New England, I just saw Brady's arm and it was like scary how bad it was and how inaccurate he was, considering we watched for 2 decades. But
yeah.
So I mean that's the only thing that's in the back of my mind. If he's good or 80% of what he's been, they're going to score 30 points every game.
Right. Yeah, he doesn't need to be good. He doesn't need to be 100. He has the knowledge and the ability, as we've seen over the years, to make things happen. He's got Gronk back. He's got some other weapons. I guess the biggest question is his protection. Is his protection going to be good enough?
Yeah, but the Patriots line wasn't exactly great the last few years either, so we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch and see how that goes, how that plays out. I mean, if you're a Tampa Bay fan, you're like, great. All of a sudden we got COVID, we can't go to the games and we got this team. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, I don't know, what it's like where you are, but I mean, I'm not in a huge, metropolis, but we've been in real good shape for a couple months. Almost everything is open here except like movie theaters and, restaurants are still under, capacity for indoor, but I mean, and I'm not doing it, but you can.
Right. Yeah, and here in the East Coast, I mean, listen, in the Philadelphia suburbs, overly cautious because it's so densely populated. Most schools are virtual, and you can eat outside for now, but nothing as far as I know inside. We went to the beach 3 weeks ago at Bethany Beach off of Delaware, and though the beach was full of people, we stayed 6 feet apart. We ate outside. We did go inside to the bar one day. There was only another group in there at the bar, so we stayed away from them. But we had a house we were renting. A few miles from the beach, and we were on our own. So it was okay. And so yeah, I'm hoping it continues, and we just want to get through this and let it be. Though I don't think it'll ever be done until we get that vaccine and see how that vaccine works. At least this second stage, if you will, get done.
Yeah, our school is virtual through the 5th of October.
Oh.
Today was the first day.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking there's a possibility next month they might go back at least somewhat.
Yeah, and we have the same thing. Our upper school, our high schoolers are staying out most of these fall and till January. But October 9th is a possibility that their middle school and lower school can come back on campus. So we'll see. Let's get back to football. Your expertise is. Who do you think? What quarterbacks do you think have the ability to have a really good year?
People that we're not thinking about, or just in general?
Let's do the thing we're not thinking about. Yeah. Who would be a quarterback that you would want on your fantasy team right now?
I mean, the one that I like a lot that's, not really being drafted as a starter is Daniel Jones from the Giants.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of interceptions and fumbles last year, but I think that's correctable. I love his offense. Barkley's a great pass catcher out of the backfield.
Right.
All the reports about Sterling Shepard have been fantastic. I like Darius Slayton a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If Evan Engram can never stay healthy, but he also runs, which gets you the extra points. So he gives you a nice floor. Pretty much, you kind of know what you're going to get from him. My concern is a tough schedule. He does have a tough schedule. Like, starts with the Steelers this week, who obviously have a great defense.
Yeah.
The Cowboys and even the Redskins, the football team, have a good secondary. So it doesn't have the easiest schedule, but I really like the talent, and if he can just not fumble the ball every time, I think you're in for. We saw a few really, really good games from him. Barkley was banged up last year, so
yeah.
I really, really like Daniel Jones. He's one I'm thinking about a lot. I have him. I haven't drafted him as my starter, but in a lot of leagues where I have two, where I have to play like the super flex leagues,
right.
He's definitely on my team. Drew Lock in Denver is another one that I really like. Came out at the end of last year and looked pretty good. At least looked like he knew what he was doing. He definitely had a big arm. They went out and got Jerry Jeudy, went out and got Melvin Gordon. The offensive line is pretty solid. So I think he's another one I think is going to take his next step up. And maybe not be, top 10, but I think he's going to be a lot better than people are thinking.
And let me ask you a question about Jared Goff. Not the best. I mean, he had an okay year, but it wasn't like the year before, right? So what are his prospects? What are you thinking?
I like him a lot more than some people. I'm not sure what happened in the last year. They started running the ball a lot more and passing to the tight end and not really throwing to the wide receivers as much. I'm not really sure why that was. But actually, was writing about him today. Like, he didn't just forget how to play, and Sean McVay didn't forget how to call an offense. So I think they're going to be much better this year. They start with the Cowboys, so I think that's going to be another pretty good shootout this weekend. I think he's going to have another 4,000-yard season, 25, 26 touchdowns. I think he's going to have a nice bounce back, and people are just they're down on him a lot, but I think he's going to have a nice comeback. They lost Todd Gurley.
Yes.
So they picked up Cam Akers out of Florida State, so I think they're going to revolve around the pass a little bit more again this year, and I think he's going to be much more solid than people give him credit for.
All right. Here's another questionable one I have for you. When I've had some fantasy teams, 2 of the 3 years that I played with a group, I had Matt Ryan, and both of those years he stunk that I had him. So what do you think Matt Ryan's going to do this year? I don't have him. I didn't pick him up, so.
He doesn't stink very often, so you've caught him at the worst possible
Mm-hmm.
time. I'm not a biggest Matt Ryan fan. I almost never draft him, and I don't know. Maybe I had him the years he stunk too. But if you look at his year after year, it's 4,500 yards and 24 to 28 touchdowns with some 30s stuck in there too. He's got 2 dynamite receivers in Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, so it's really hard to go wrong there. They lost their tight end, but then they traded for another good one in Hayden Hurst. So I think they're going to be good. And Gurley, as long as we just talked about him, as long as he can stay healthy and keep that knee kind of under control, he's a great pass catcher as well. So I think he's going to have the running game and great weapons around him. So I'm like you. I don't really draft him, but he's the guy that I definitely think is going to be really successful.
Okay, interesting to know. I didn't pick him up. Let's see. John Gruden's. It's so funny. I do like John Gruden. I think he does rub people the wrong way, but all he wants to do is win. And you get that Gruden face, and it's like, I like it, but I don't think he's nasty. I just think he just wants to win. So, what are your thoughts with him in Vegas?
Sometimes I think he thinks he's smarter than he is, or he does stuff to try to prove that he's smarter than other people. And sometimes I don't think it's always the best idea.
Right.
They brought in a bunch of kids. They drafted Henry Ruggs. They drafted Brian Edwards. They drafted Lynn Bowden and then traded him right away. But they brought in a few new weapons to try to make the offense a little more explosive than it's been. I don't know, a move to Vegas and inside might help a little bit more. Derek Carr does have a couple of big seasons in his career, but I'm not thinking that all of a sudden they're going to make this huge jump.
Okay.
I think that Carr will be better. I think that Ruggs and Edwards certainly help and will give them a representative offense. But I still think everything goes through Josh Jacobs. I think he's the focus of the offense. He's one of my favorite running backs. So I think that Carr will have a fine season, 3,800 yards and maybe 24 touchdowns.
Nice.
But I don't think he's going to be a real big guy you really consider in fantasy most of the time.
Gotcha. Here's an interesting one I want to talk to you about too. The Bears. The Bears. Who's going to start for them?
They named Mitch Trubisky yesterday or the day before.
Oh, they did. Okay.
So not the person anyone was hoping for. I think everyone was hoping for Nick Foles.
Mm-hmm.
Just more of a, I'd say, for lack of a better word, a steadying force. Trubisky, sometimes you have no idea where he's throwing the ball or who he's throwing it to. I think he's got a little gunslinger mentality without the talent to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it doesn't help them that he's the starter. But they're based on their defense, and he hasn't been awful. I don't think he hurts Allen Robinson or Anthony Miller. It's not like I'm avoiding the receivers because he's the quarterback. I would have just preferred it to be Foles. If it was Foles, I think I would have bumped him up a little bit. So Trubisky, it's the same. He was a quarterback last year, so it's not like they're going to get worse. I was just hoping for Foles and things would get a little better for the guys around him. But, he's still in his 4th year. He still could improve, but I'm not really counting on it. If he could, he'll be in the low 20s in touchdown passes as well. He runs a little bit, but I wouldn't be all that upset if he gets off to a bad start and gets benched. And I think it's a real strong chance that we see Foles at some point.
Okay. Yeah, I do too. Yeah, he's one of those Trubisky's, those inconsistent quarterbacks. He can be good, but then again, he can be really bad. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, and that's what the fun of football about because it is a long season. Um, and a lot of quarterbacks who are established, and it's just fun to see. And wouldn't it be nice to have a season where nobody got hurt as a quarterback? And let these guys just do what they can and play the entire 16 games. It'd be great to watch them play. But so yeah, it's always fun to see what happens as the season progresses. That's why we all love football, because that quarterback position and the way the game is played, it's just fun to watch. I mean, I love baseball, baseball fan over football. But when you get to football, I remember Ryan growing up, and I had the same thing with baseball too. There was never a dull when I was growing up in the '60s and '70s. There was never a game I didn't want to watch, even if it wasn't my favorite team. It was okay because there were so many stars on all of these teams. Everybody had somebody you really wanted to watch, and that's what was so fun. And it's I think with the Aaron Rodgers and the Bradys and these guys still hanging around, and the young kids coming up, and the Matt Ryans and all these guys. And Russell Wilson. It's just fun to be able to see how they play each year. So it's football. Watching football is fun, and then of course you add fantasy to it, and you get pissed when he throws an interception, and then you get really mad. But that's part of the fun of fantasy, right? It's just a very neat thing to be able to follow and do with football.
Yeah, and you're talking about some of the guys who are still hanging around, like Brady and Brees and Rivers. They're still viable players.
Yeah.
And we have the new era of Mahomes and Lamar Jackson
Mm-hmm.
and Kyler Murray and Dak Prescott. That a lot of them play the game differently than those older guys, but it's just as exciting. Like I don't am I as excited for Tom Brady and Drew Brees or Kyler Murray and Jimmy Garoppolo going against each other this weekend?
Yeah.
So, they're both really entertaining.
Yeah.
And I think it's been really nice to see the league have these new young quarterbacks come in because let's face it, I mean football is based on the quarterback whether we like it or not.
Absolutely. Yep.
Offenses go and the offensive line of course is super important. But the quarterback runs the show, runs the game, and to see this new rash of young guys come in has really kind of shown that the league is going to be in good hands for quite a while.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with baseball. You're looking at all these young guys coming up, even more now this year than ever. And of course, Trout is the new up and coming Hall of Famer. But then you still have the Pujols who got his. Who broke or tied the RBI record, and Trout hits in 300 already, and it's just for us who love the wide world of sports, it's just fun to be able to see the young and the experienced, watch them mesh, watch them play against each other, and it's just fun for us to be able to fun for those who like to watch sports. To watch all of it happen, which is great, it's a lot of fun.
And I think baseball is becoming a young man's game even more than football. I mean, we used to come in and the guy didn't even really kind of hit his stride until 25.
Yeah.
And now, Mike Trout is 28, 29. He's kind of starting to feel like an old guy.
I know.
These guys come in and they produce right away, and a lot of times they're stars right away. Look at Juan Soto was a superstar at like 20.
Yeah.
Acuna was a superstar
Yep.
at 22.
Mm-hmm.
So especially with fantasy, like we did back in the day, you wouldn't even really think about rookies very much, and now you have to be on these prospects and everything before they even come into the league because they hit the ground running and a lot of times produce better than the veterans.
Yeah, exactly. So Ryan, I want to before we get to the Eagles, because I know people in Philadelphia are going to want to know what your thoughts are about the Eagles. Who have you heard of? Have you seen? Would be like could have been, and I know one of my guys at work is actually drafting tomorrow. A sleeper pick, good sleeper picks.
I'll give you a number. We'll go, a little shallow and then a little bit deeper. One of my favorites that I've drafted Buffalo's Preston Williams and the Dolphins. You know, he had a great first 8 games last year and then got hurt. But he was on pace for like 80 catches right off the bat. You know, Miami's had a couple of receivers opt out, so he's going to be pushed right into a huge role right away. And I think Miami is going to be a team that improved from last year. You know, they made some changes, and you could just tell last year, like, they played hard down the stretch. They beat the Patriots in New England to stop them from getting a bye. So it was a game New England, probably wanted to win to get a bye in the playoffs. So the Dolphins knocked them off at home. Anthony Miller, the Bears, is another
Right.
one.
Okay.
Takes a minor hit with Trubisky, but he'll still be fine. Jacksonville is kind of a mess with Fournette out of town. They've got James Robinson. They've named the starter. I like this guy Devine Ozigbo, came out of Nebraska. He's got some speed, some elusiveness. I think he's going to get a chance, and I think he could take a grab of that backfield. Green Bay, they have one receiver is Devontae Adams. If there's a second one, I like Allen Lazard, who had a few good games last year, but they did nothing to try to improve their receiving core this year. So I think he could be one. And here's crazy. When we're talking about old people, you know what I think might have a kind of a role this year is Frank Gore with the Jets.
Is that right? Yeah.
They're getting a lot of good reports out of there. We know Adam Gase and Le'Veon Bell are not really quite on the same page. This guy's kid is like a freshman in college, and he's still playing in the NFL. And he's been hanging around, but he's still successful everywhere he goes. I don't know if this is going to be somebody you're looking to draft, but I'd certainly keep my eyes on him.
That's interesting. How old is he? Is he like 32?
He's got to be at least that.
Yeah.
I thought he was old when he left the 49ers, and he's been on like 4 teams since then.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. Frank Gore, that's interesting. Yeah, like you said, not your starter running back, but put him on the bench maybe and see what happens, or pick him up mid early season if you get an injury, I guess, huh?
He just turned 37.
So he's really old. Wow. Well, that's cool. So, and again, this goes back to what we were just saying. These guys are sticking around, and it's fun to see them come up and help. Maybe he'll gain 600 yards this year because they need him.
He had 600 last year, 722 the year before, and 1,000 yards. Almost 3 times for Indy. So
yeah,
he's hanging around, but he's successful. And if anything happens with Bell, or he's as bad as he was last year, I certainly could see him giving Gore the shot. So yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. Even you're not obviously picking him early on. So.
Right. All right, so let's go to the Eagles. It's funny. I'm looking at the ESPN and the schedule for Sunday, and I'm looking at Washington's logo. that yellow W. I'm laughing because I hadn't seen it. I'm really taking a look at it.
How do you not have a focus group and some lawyers and some people and find a nickname? It's been months. I'm glad they stopped, what they had.
Yeah.
But give yourself a freaking nickname. Come up with something. It's not like people are going to stop liking your team because the nickname is stupid. But this is stupid. I have to write an article be like, oh, well, football team did this on Sunday. Like, what is? Come up with something.
The football team, yes. Well, they're the football team.
Oh my God.
It is ridiculous. I mean, they're good from now. Yeah, when that came out, I was like, wait a minute. And the name of your team is what? You don't.
It was going to be like 2 weeks, and they were going to come up with something else. I know it's going to be 4 months later.
You would have thought, Ryan, right? Oh my God, it's crazy. Anyway, what are you thinking about the Eagles? I mean, it's so funny because people here just some of them just bash Carson Wentz so badly, and even some of the top name Eagles or sports writers bash him for last year for getting hurt. Well, wait a minute. Who did he really have to throw to? I mean, people have to take that into consideration. I was actually, 2000. You can't doubt what he did in 2017. He's got the talent. He came back, and listen, he's going to be skittish, but they need some protection for him. And last year he had a pretty damn well good year with what he had to throw to. So, what are your thoughts on him and the team?
I like him. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's gotten more crap for getting hurt than anyone I could think of ever. And it's not like he's had small injuries. The guy got crushed, last year. He had the ACL a few years ago. That's the only concern for me, really, is the health. When he's healthy, he's actually a pretty good quarterback. It would be nice if they surrounded him with some better weapons, that would be nice. But I don't think there's any doubt in the talent as far as Carson Wentz is concerned. And obviously they went and drafted Jalen Hurts this year, so I'm not sure if that was exactly the biggest pat in the back from ownership either.
Yeah.
But I definitely think he's a 4,000 or 4,400 yard quarterback. It's just a matter of having somebody around. Like you said, at the end of last year, it was Greg Ward and Boston Scott. It was like all he had. I mean, what did you expect from the guy?
Exactly. I don't get it. But and those guys played well. Listen, they stepped it up at the end of the year. They really did. Nobody expected them to do what they did. They caught passes. They had yards after the catch. I mean, it was watching that team was just like, where the hell have these guys been? And they showed people,
They've been packing groceries on this
right.
supermarkets where they were, and then they ended up on an NFL team. But I think they're going to throw a lot to the tight end this year.
Yep.
I think Ertz and Goddard are both going to get a lot of work, especially early on. I don't have much faith left in Alshon Jeffrey when he comes back. I think he's towards the end.
Yep.
Jalen Reagor, I'm excited for.
Uh-huh.
I think he might play next week.
Yep.
So I think that will be a very nice addition. And, we'll see what J-Jaw does. I'm sure that you guys all call him J-Jaw out there.
Well, I don't, but, listen, he supposedly did really well in camp. I mean, he impressed people in camp. So let's see if he can do it during the game when the lights are on. Let's see if he can do it,
Well, he's certainly going to get his opportunity this week. So, Washington actually does have a pretty decent secondary. It's like the only good part of their team. So we'll see. He'll have an opportunity to do it. And I don't think there's really anybody else that's going to come in. I mean, Jeffrey's out, Reagor's out, Goodwin's not playing. So it's going to be him and Djax. So we'll see what happens. So
Yeah.
This is definitely his opportunity to come in and show what, we didn't see so far in his career.
Exactly. And the thing is, like I said, Deshaun is back. They can only be better if he'll last to the second game. They're already ahead, right? From last year. I mean, listen, we know what he can do. He's still got speed. And it's just a matter of, hitting him in stride and beating getting into the secondary and Carson having the confidence to throw it.
I think he's going to have a good week one. I'm looking at 100 yards and a touchdown. I really think he's going to come out of the gate hot. He loves playing against his former teams, and he loves the spotlight.
He does.
Be all him so far, this week with everyone else out. So I think he's in for a really good first week.
Yeah, I think it's a good possibility for sure. Last question, and I'll let you go because I know you're busy. So we got Houston and KC on Thursday. What are you thinking with that game as we open up the season?
I think this one is going to be. I think they both could be in the 30s. I think for those who play fantasy football, you pretty much want to get anybody involved who you might roster that might be in that game. But in the end, I believe that Kansas City's offense is going to be too much for Houston's pretty terrible defense.
Yeah.
So I do think that the Chiefs, unfortunately, are going to come out and win the first one. I'm looking at like a 38-31 or 34-28 or something like that. I think it's going to be a lot of points. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch, but I don't think it's going to be a Houston win. It could be really ugly,
Yeah.
because it has no preseason. So, I mean, these guys, I'm sure that practice is nice. And as much as they all complain about preseason, getting a few reps in before you get to the season it's got to be helpful. So that's my only concern for the first week is we might see some really ugly football.
Yeah.
But I think these two teams, they're full of veterans. I think they're both going to come out. And you got two great quarterbacks, two exciting quarterbacks. I think we're going to see, possibly 70 points in this one.
Yeah. And listen, NBC is going to love it if they can score that many points. That's for damn sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Ryan. I know you have to go. You're really busy. Folks, please listen. It's Fantasy Alarm. Is that right, Ryan?
Yes. Yep.
And where can they find that?
FantasyAlarm.com. Like I said, I have the game previews will be dropping sometime tomorrow morning. They are free and for anyone to read, and it takes me a long time. It's like 20,000 words that they break into different screens. There's like a different screen for each game, so no one has to read this ridiculously long Word document that I send to poor some soul who has to edit it, and
right.
which I feel really bad about. But it's basically it's it's any fantasy relevant player in every game. I at least write up something on. Tell you what I think is going to happen and predict the final score.
Well, folks, Ryan is an amazing resource. He does so much work. In addition to Fantasy Survivor, do we know anything about that, Ryan?
As far as I know, they have not started filming yet. I understand that if they were going to film somewhere else, they could have, but they're apparently committed to Fiji, and as the last I heard, that they are not cleared to film there yet. So unfortunately, we're a ways away from our next season. Unfortunately.
Yeah, Ryan, it's amazing what you've done with that little game. When you first came out with that, I was thinking, how the hell did he think of all this stuff? But Ryan, it's great. It's fun.
I think I started with like 20, 25 people or something. There was like 95 people who played the last time.
I know.
I don't know if it was because the winners war was such a draw, or maybe my following is building a little bit, or Survivor's becoming more popular. But I mean, I can't take total credit. There are other games out there, and I ripped off part of their point system, but then I came up with a lot of my own spin, like the first one getting voted off.
Yeah.
Naked, you get points, and So I've just been watching it for so long.
I know.
There's no things that happen, so I try to make it as fun as possible for another thing to make the show even better.
It's fun. It's fun to carry. It was fun at the end to see when you're at the end. Oh, don't vote him off. Ah, crap, I'm out.
They always get really mad.
I know. It's funny. It's great. Well, listen. By the way, tell Jen I said hello next time you talk to her. I had her on several months ago when my daughter was here, and I said they got to hook up together because they're like two peas in the pod. I mean, oh my gosh, yes, and they're both in California. And if they ever go into a bar, I think they'd be out until 4:00 in the morning.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, Ryan. Appreciate all the work you do. Thank you for calling in. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Take care.
All right,
All right, bye-bye. So a lot of information on fantasy from Ryan. Go on Fantasy Alarm. You'll find him at Fighting Chance. That's his Twitter handle. And you'll be able to get a lot of fantasy information. So let's see, bottom of the seventh. Here we go. Play-by-play. The Phillies are losing to the ridiculously bad Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox are 14-28. So they, in the American League, the Royals are 14-28. The Texas Rangers are 13-27. Okay, so they're not the worst. Nationals 15-25. The Pirates are 13-26. And Arizona. So undoubtedly one of the worst teams in the league, in all of the major leagues. So that to me tells me that this is a freaking embarrassing loss if they would lose his first game. Okay, it's still 5-4. That's great. Men off first and third. So let's see if they can tie this thing up and maybe push it to extra innings. Maybe they can win in a walk-off. Wouldn't that be nice for this team? Oh my gosh. So hopefully at 7, we're looking at, hopefully Russell will give me a call, Russell Crazy Legs Patterson, because I want to talk to him more about the Negro Leagues and what his experiences in that were. I have been a fan of this Negro Leagues since I found out about the Centennial celebration back in, I believe it was November, and I found out about it. And so, especially with what's going on today in the world, with all the racist things going on, it's something that I wanted to talk to Russell about and get his take on, what does he feel? What is it like? What is he thinking about what's going on? And how does it compare to what he dealt with back in 1960 and 61? And I'm sure it's worse. I mean, I did watch. Those of you out there watched the movie 42. Obviously, it's about Jackie Robinson and breaking the color barrier. So really, I've watched it a few times, and it really didn't hit me. until this last week, I watched it again, and the scene where he's getting berated by the Philadelphia Phillies manager, Chapman, I believe his name is, to be able to stand up to that and to focus as much as he needed to do was amazing. But then you saw him break a bit when after he went back to the dugout, he went into the clubhouse and just screamed, kind of a cathartic scream that to me said, I'm going to have to deal with this. I don't like it, but I'm strong enough to be able to. And obviously he was, and he did. But the interesting thing about that piece also, as we're talking about, and where I work at school, talking about becoming anti-racist and anti-biased, is though as a white person you can't put yourself in their shoes, hearing about it from people is really helps me understand what anybody, Black, Hispanic, any people of color have to deal with in this country. I have heard from people, from kids talking about their dads, people who are Black, who have a Black dad, and they worry when he goes out in the car at night and driving around. And I don't blame him. And I can't identify with that because it doesn't happen to me. So we have to do better as a society. We have to stop all this crap that's going on and be helpful, be there to assist. The one thing that I did again bring out from that movie was the fact that Eddie Stanky, after this guy, manager Chapman, is berating him, calling him the N-word, all sorts of stuff, calling him a monkey, Eddie Stanky gets off gets out there and goes up to Chapman and tells him to stop. So somebody finally stood up for Jackie, and that's what we need to do more of. So hopefully we'll get Russell to come on in a few minutes to talk a little bit about his experience in the Negro Leagues. And as we speak of that, I'm looking at Adam Hazley, who looked at 3 pitches in the strike zone, looking in a 3-2 count. So there's 2 outs. Alec Bohm has been hitting well. Rookie, he's 2 for 3 tonight. If this first game, there's 2 outs, men on second and third. Didi Gregorius just stole second. So if Alec Bohm can come through, and then there's pressure on him. Has he had pressure before? No, not really. So he's got men on second and third. A base hit wins the game. Because you got JT, obviously JT's on third, JT Realmuto, and Didi's on second. They will score on a base hit, and that'll be a walk-off. So I'm looking right now as we speak at the Gamecast, and it's a 1-1 count. Matt Barnes is pitching for the Red Sox. He's got a knuckle curve. Obviously, it's working. Comes in at mid-80s, so it's fooling these hitters. I'm sure Bohm is not not happy to have to face this particular pitch. But I'm not confident that he's going to get a hit. I'd love to see him get a hit, obviously, but I'm not confident. And the Phillies should be. This is absolutely disgusting that this team is going to lose to the Red Sox. And now there's 2, and that was a 4-seam fastball at 96 that went right over the middle of the plate that he looked at. So he's obviously got him fooled. My guess, anybody want to bet on this next pitch is going to be a knuckle curve, low and away, and he's going to swing and miss? I'll bet somebody $5 that that's what the pitch is, and that's what happens. I'll PayPal you $5 if the next strike is a knuckle curve and Alec Bohm swings and misses. If you don't think so, tweet at me now and say I'll take that bet at the Burn Mitch on Twitter, and I will. If it doesn't happen, that he strikes out on a low outside pitch or a knuckle curve, then I will say to you, I will PayPal you $5. Okay? So it's 2-2. 2 outs, men on second and third. Alec Bohm is up. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. Let's see what happens. It was a knuckle curve right in the middle of the plate. At 85 miles an hour, he fouled it off. So my bet is he strikes out on a knuckle curve low and away for the third out. Anybody wants that bet? First person to tweet out at me, I want the bet, and he doesn't do that, I will PayPal you $5. How about that? Oh my God, are you kidding me? Oh my God! He did! I just got a notification. He did! He hit a single and the game is over. Oh my God, I don't believe it. Phillies win on a walk-off by Alec Bohm. This kid is amazing. Did anybody tweet me out? He did it. Holy crap-a-doodles, he did it. Did anybody take me up on his bet? Because if you did, I'm going to Venmo you $5. I'm going to PayPal you $5. Holy crap. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. I don't see any tweets. Let's see. I don't see any tweets. Nobody did. Bummer. Nobody tweeted out. That's too bad. Because I would have done it. $5 is $5. Oh, well. That's too bad. I would have been able to do that for you folks. But that's unfortunate. Oh, the Phillies beat the Red Sox. Go figure, 6-5. And people will tell me, what'd you get so upset about? Well, you need to relax. I said, well, and I'm going to say, no, I don't need to relax. This is how I watch the games. This is what I do. I'm intense. I like watching baseball. I like watching my team. I hate when they lose. So my social media manager just said no one is tweeting. Okay, that's fine. No biggie. I will see what happens. For me, that was fun. If we can get people to tweet, I would do that, and I would definitely pay up. So hopefully Russell will call in. We're hoping that Russell will be able to call me in a few minutes and talk about his experience in the Negro Leagues and other organized baseball that he was in. I am going to message him again and see if he's available now. See if he is there, because I did contact him this week, and I was hoping that he'd be able to do that. So we'll see what happens. And if not, we'll go start talking about some other things. And if you want to give me a call, I have a new number. Oh, actually, you're going to use my cell phone number. You have to give me my call. I'll give you my phone. My computer got me absolutely aggravated as I was beginning to set up for the show tonight. It wouldn't recognize my Google Voice number, so I had to get a Google Voice number. And I have some issues on Chrome with my sound, so I haven't been able to use my intros to my shows on Chrome from YouTube. So I've been using my iPad, and I found out that I could use Firefox, which I did tonight for the intro, that Tom Seaver intro. But then when I was making sure that my phone was working, my computer was working, as I do every week, I could get no sound. So lovely people at work, unfortunately, they tried to fix that, and it doesn't work. Now, it works on Zoom calls, which terribly well, but I don't know why the computer is messing up. So we are hoping that Russell calls, and if he does, great. And if he doesn't, let me give you a few reminders as we go forward. So on Thursday, our buddy Captain Lou, who usually follows me on Tuesday, tonight, will be on Thursday on Zingo TV, channel 761. And he is doing an NFL preview show, the 12-ounce sports NFL preview show, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. He's got an amazing bunch of guests coming on. All right, he's got. Let me see what he's got here. I'm gonna give this to you in order so that you know what is going on. So I'm gonna pull this up right now and see what we got here. So he's got at 8:05 Thursday, Dave Burkett and Freep Sports, and I'll get you that information and who they are in a minute. Then he's got at 8:30, he's got Stefania from ESPN. So it's at Stefania, STEPHANIA_ESPN, giving some expertise on NFL football coming up starting on Thursday. At 9 o'clock, at Eagles Talk is coming on. Obviously knowing a lot about the Eagles. And at 9:20, he's got at Kazar, KAZAR NFL, coming on. So we're going to make sure that you're listening because there is a bunch of great information coming out on that show that you don't want to miss, especially with these experts coming on. It's going to be something that you want to miss. Tune into 12-Ounce Sports on Zingo TV, channel 761, to listen to that. And then on Sunday, we are doing some pools. We're doing a poll, and the final poll, I guess, is coming out by the end of the week. There's going to be a streaming watch party at 1 o'clock for the 1 o'clock games. And we're going to be there. Some of us are going to be there. I hope I am. And we're going to be commenting on the games going on at 1 o'clock. So tune into 12-Ounce Sports. All the information will come out before the games on Sunday about where to go. And you'll be able to listen to us or even watch us as we discuss the games in progress. How fun will that be? If anybody wants to give me a call and we can talk NFL, MLB. You want to talk Tom Seaver, that's fine, fantasy. 610-888-2171 if you're out there. Give me a call. Happy to talk to you. In the event Russell is unable to give us a call, we can fill some time with some callers, and then Brian Wright's coming on at 7:30, and we're going to talk primarily Mets and Tom Seaver. So looking forward to that. So if you want to give me a phone call, feel free. 610-888-2171 is my number, and be happy to talk about anything you would like to this evening. I'm actually going to message Brian now and let him know that he can give me a call. I would say around, let's go with 7:15, because if Russell isn't calling by 7:05, then we'll get Brian over to call in. We can have a little more time to talk about the Mets and Tom Seaver and that Phillies win over the Boston Red Sox that just took place with this kid, Alec Bohm. So really, really kind of cool. This kid's the real deal. He came up. We didn't know if he could hit or field, but we knew he could hit. And if you go look at his stats, this is a hitter. This is somebody that we needed at third base. We looks like we have. I won't call him a franchise third baseman, but he is proving that he can hit major league pitching, and that is just awesome. So he won the game. He just won the game. So feel free to give me a call if you're out there. If you want to give me a holler, 610-888-2171 is my cell phone. That's the only one working right now. And Matt Rappa just posted that he is Alec Bohm is the Phillies' clutchest hitter since 2006, Ryan Howard. And I'm watching the replay right now, and he's getting all sorts of bumps and hits from his teammates after a walk-off single. This kid is good. He's awesome. Took a pitch with a knuckle curve. He did hit the knuckle curve. It was right over the plate, right through the shortstop, and it was not even a close play at the plate. Didi scored from second. All right. Amazing. And people, you missed out on $5 to your PayPal because I was betting you I would do that. I was betting he was going to strike out knuckle curve, and he didn't. Nobody took me up on it. Sorry about that. All right, so we got football coming up. Who's excited about football? I know a lot of people are. The Eagles are as Ryan said, you got that franchise quarterback. It's hard not to get excited about the game coming, the season coming up. It's really something. Again, I am more of a baseball fan, but I love watching football. It gives me things to do on a Monday night and a Thursday night, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. It's a beautiful thing. So the season is set up. They're going to play on Sunday, and it's and Deshaun Watson just got an extension, and that's all good for him and that team. And it's a good time to be able to obviously if you go to games and you can't go, it's hard. You look forward to going, but guess what? You're gonna be able to watch them. You're gonna be able to watch them all. And it's going to be a lot of fun because people need to release. All right, so I'm looking, this is interesting, weeks 1 to 4 on ESPN.com, they've simulated all 269 games of the NFL season. They run 20,000 simulations of the entire slate with their ESPN Power Index. And they come out and it's interesting what they do. And not like Ryan Hallam said, they're predicting that the Chiefs blow out the Texans 35-7. Eagles beat the Redskins 27-20. Big Ben is back with the Steelers, beating up the Giants 41-17. Excuse me, it doesn't look like that Giants defense is very good. Looks like they have the Rams beating the Cowboys 17-10. So let's see what they say about Tampa Bay. That's interesting. Where is that team? Where are they? Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Where the heck are they? Falcons beating the Seahawks 26-6. Wow, that's a big loss. That's a lot of points. Seahawks. Let's see. I'm missing. I can't find. Let's see. Where I'm looking, I can't find. They said the Eagles are going to beat the Rams 26-10. Week number 2. There's the Buccaneers beating the Panthers. The Saints beating the Buccaneers the first week, 30-13. We'll see what that happens. See what happens. They have the Buccaneers beating the Panthers week 2, 37-35. So for Eagles fans, they have them going 3-0. They beat the Bengals week 3, 32-27. Wow. Week 4. What are the Eagles doing? They got to be losing there, right? No, they have... What? No. They have them beating the 49ers 42-7. Wow. That's crazy. So, the Eagles, with their offense and the Corey Clement and Boston Scott and Deshaun Jackson and Jalen Reagor, I mean, they have an opportunity, I believe, to score some points. My big question is that, again, which I think all Eagles fans are looking at, is that secondary. That secondary is really, really bad last year, the last several years. They picked up, I believe it was Darius Slay, and solidified a little bit in the backside of that defense, but It's something that I think we'll know early in that first quarter of Sunday's game when they go to Washington to see if they are going to be able to hold off the Washington offense, which is not that good. Their defense is better. But it'll be interesting to see, because if they do and they start making and they are able to make plays, then you'll be able to have people have a little more confidence in that secondary. But if for some reason they're not the Redskins, that Washington football team is able to score points and they comes through on the via the pass, oh man, Doug Peterson's going to have to answer for a lot of things in that defense, as will obviously Jim Schwartz. So it's one of those things where, again, fun to look at, fun to watch, fun to see how it all progresses as we go through and we start the NFL season. So looking forward to tomorrow or to Thursday night, and absolutely looking forward to Sunday. Now let's go to MLB, the Major League Baseball, where, amazingly enough, my team won. Alec Bohm, you're the man, dude. He's the man. He's going to be the man. It's too bad there aren't any fans, because the place would have gone nuts. This guy's going to be a freaking fan favorite. You have no idea. So let's look at, we're going to look at the schedule for tonight and look at, because I always do that, how many of you do look at the schedule, especially as the season's winding down, especially in this crazy season, in terms of, look at that. The Braves put their ace, Max Fried, on the injured list with back spasms. Ooh, that could be a problem for them. So let's look at the standings here right now. As I look at them, the Phillies are only a game and a half out of the Eastern Division lead, with the Braves leading. Miami's hanging in at 500. Mets are 19-23, and Nationals, good for them, 15-25. Bye, Nationals. Cubbies playing really well, decent pitching. And those darn Cardinals don't give up. There's only three out of the lead with the Cubs. Cubs are 24-18. Cardinals are 500. So interestingly enough, they're still in it. And then when you look at the Dodgers, it's a two-team race between the Dodgers and the Padres. Now, let's look at the playoff probability percentage. All right, you got Atlanta and the Phillies. You've got the Cubs and the Cardinals. And you've got the Dodgers and the Padres. And then you've got your wild card. And it looks like it's a toss-up. I mean, there's a bunch of 500 teams. You don't know yet. So 8 teams in each league, top two finishers plus 2 wild cards is what's going into the playoffs. So right now, the Phillies have an 89% chance of getting there. Braves 98, Cubs 96, Cardinals 73, Dodgers 100, not shocking, Padres 99. That's in the National League. In the American League, how about the New York Yankees fall from grace? So the Yankees, in their last 10, are 3-7. They're on a 4-game losing streak. Though they still have a run differential +4, that's sinking quick. They are 6.5 games out of the division lead. Tampa Bay Rays have taken and have been there for a while with a 4.5 game lead over the Blue Jays. The fun race to watch is going to be the American League Central. Cleveland, with an amazing pitching staff, 26-15. The White Sox are also 26-15 with a bunch of great offensive players. And the Minnesota Twins are hanging in at 27-17, only a half game out. So it's really going to be fun to watch. And I'm wondering how many of you, as baseball fans, if you are, especially this year, are able to go and look at those standings and say, okay, because I love doing that. I love looking at teams in both leagues and all the divisions and say, okay, who's making the playoffs? Because I love watching the finishes, and the last weekend of the season, TV will be all over the place for these teams clinching playoff berths, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But still, here's my question, and I think I'm going to do a poll this week. Whether or not, and I'm very fickle and funny about this, let's say my Phillies get into the playoffs and they win a couple of rounds. Let's say they win the World Series. Do I consider it an asterisk season? I'm 50-50. I waver. Because would I be ecstatic that they won? Yeah, but they've only played 60 games. And if they don't win and they make the playoffs, I'm happy that they made the playoffs, but it's still an asterisk season. I think for me this year for baseball, for my team specifically, it's about the way the team improved. The development of Alec Bohm, the terrible shortstop play of Didi Gregorius, the round of Rhys Hoskins. So to me, it's the season has come in these small little stages in watching these teams come together. It's the unequivocal knowledge that Matt Klentak for my team, the Phillies, didn't give a crap about the bullpen this year, and they are where they are despite them. And I don't know that any coaching, and I tend to blame the coaches sometimes, any type of coaching could have helped this bullpen because they're just not that good. So let's say the Phillies don't make the playoffs. For some reason, they don't make the playoffs. And for me, I'm like, okay, it's an asterisk season. So I'm either 50-50, where they win the World Series, they get in the playoffs, but if they don't, okay, whatever. I'm curious to know how everybody else feels. So I think I'm going to put out a poll this week on the Burn with Mitch Twitter account, asking people how they feel. If your team wins, I have to figure out how to word it. If your team wins the World Series, do you consider this an asterisk season? If your team doesn't win the World Series, how do you feel? Something like that. So I'm going to do that because I'm really curious to find out what baseball fans think this year with regard to how this is all going to play out at the end. Are we all homers and just hoping that our team wins? And if we say, well, they didn't win, asterisk anyway, no big deal. Like I said, part of me says yes if they don't make the playoffs. They make the playoffs. Do I want them to win? Absolutely. If they win the World Series, is it a huge thrill? Absolutely. Is it that big a deal? Yes, but no. So you can interpret that any way you want. I'm just saying how I feel is that I'm wondering how others feel with regard to this season this year in Major League Baseball. So we've got some things going on right now on the field, and that Cleveland team continues to win. Washington, well, look at the Nationals. So it's only the third inning. Bottom of the third, they're up 4-0 already on Tampa Bay. Minnesota's beating St. Louis, top of the third. Everything else is scoreless and has just started. Minnesota beat the Cardinals. Gee, I'm not too sad about the Cardinals losing. You know why? Because I have a family that loves the Cardinals. I think they're the best team in the world ever. And hopefully they don't make the playoffs again. Or this year they don't make the playoffs. And I know that they're going to say, who cares? It was an asterisk season. It didn't really count. Okay. And then what will I do? I'll push back. But the Minnesota Twins beat them. So the Twins are hoping for a sweep. And that's what I'm hoping for my Phillies. So Brian Wright will be giving us a call within the next 10 minutes. We're going to talk about New York Mets and the loss of Tom Seaver. Now, Tom Seaver was ill for a while. I read that he had Lyme disease in 1991, I believe, and I guess it can do this. It reared its ugly head, a couple 3 years ago, and it started affecting his brain. He also developed dementia, and then also what came out was he had COVID. So there were a myriad of things that led sadly to his passing last week. And I read it. It came across on a feed on my iPad, and I was taken aback. And then I saw all of the tweets coming in and the thoughts of his former teammates and former major league players that he played against, and I really got sad. And I was wondering, why was I, what happens? I'm going to ask Brian this when he comes on. What is it about a player that you follow? And this happened to me with Johnny Carson. I love Johnny Carson. Loved him. Nobody ever will come close to him. Nobody now does in terms of his talent. But when Johnny Carson died, I cried. What makes one cry from having someone like that pass away? What is in that brain that says, okay, you know what, you're sad, you should cry? I didn't know the guy personally. I watched them both, Seaver and Johnny Carson, in my childhood, growing up. Is that something that triggers that? I don't know. So I'll talk to Brian about that. Brian is not a psychologist by any means, but I'll ask him, see what he thinks. Oh, one other announcement. A friend of mine through this show, author friend of mine, Ethan Bryan. His book came out today. Ethan wrote a book, A Year of Playing Catch. And he played catch every day for an entire year. All sorts of weather, all sorts of individuals, age, gender. Amazing of what he did. So his book is out today. Ethan was on the show once. Talked about the book. I'll be getting the book. I ordered one from him. We've never met. I was hoping to meet Ethan when I went to Kansas City, but he was unable to meet me, which was a big disappointment because I brought my glove. We were going to have a catch, probably right outside the Negro Leagues Museum, where he and I were going to meet. So we'll get there at some point. We'll meet at some point, and we'll be able to talk. But this started out. I asked Ethan, how did this all start? What's going on with this? So it really started out with his daughters, I believe, asking him to go have a catch. And this was, Ethan lives in Springfield, Missouri, not the hotbed of warm weather in the winter. And it started a conversation, I believe, at a dinner table. And they went and played catch. And then he shows some pictures and of him playing catch with winter coats on. And he went thousands and thousands of miles, traversed the Midwest, and I don't remember how far he went or where he went specifically. That we'll wait for you to get that in the book. But his book comes out today, so if you're interested in his thing, this is really not just playing catch. Obviously, it's about the stories and the people he met, and what he learned about people by having a catch. And if you have ever had a catch with someone, a baseball, softball catch, that catch can go a couple different ways. And I'm gonna that's another thing I'm gonna ask Brian. What's it like having a catch? Well, it's for me, it's peaceful. For me, and it's a baseball for most of the time, I like to grab the seams and warm up a little bit before I start throwing some what I used to throw when I used to pitch, and not well really, a curveball, and even a screwball because I like the way that thing moves. That pitch isn't thrown at all by righties. It never really was thrown by righties. I guess Satchel Paige did. But having a catch, you can have a catch and not talk. It's okay not to talk and just sit there and have a catch. It's okay to have a conversation. And I can imagine with Ethan, meeting these people for the first time, it was an amazing experience because if you didn't know them, you did get to know them by having a catch. And that's the beauty of it. You get to know people. And I can't wait to get the book. And I'm hoping to read it when I get it and then have Ethan back on again to talk about it. Because it's just so much you can learn about somebody by having a catch. For those of us who like to throw the ball around, it's more fun to be outside and having a catch than inside and sitting at a restaurant or any indoor locale, if you will. But having a catch is really special. And I encourage you all to go out and have a catch with somebody, even if it's with not a baseball, even if it's with a wiffle ball, if it's with a kickball, it can be a ping pong ball, whatever. Go have a catch. Just throw the ball to each other and see what happens. I will undoubtedly tell you that you will have a conversation. And you'll get to know that person that you had a catch with a heck of a lot more than you ever did than if you were in a restaurant or if you were in an indoor place because, listen, you're outside, you're in nature, you're out in the environment, enjoying the fresh air, and those kinds of atmospheres breed fun, unique conversations. At least they do for me. So we'll talk about that with Brian also, and he'll be coming on in about 3 minutes to talk Mets, to talk Tom Seaver, and even possibly Chadwick Boseman, Lou Brock, Jackie Robinson, and just about things that we think about when somebody who we whether it's idolized or loved, whatever word you want to use, you can be sure we're going to talk about that as he calls in a couple minutes. So reminder, again, a couple things. The NFL 12-ounce NFL preview show Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. Captain Lou has a lot of amazing, knowledgeable, interesting guests, all talking NFL football. And then watch 12-ounce Twitter. And you'll find out more about the NFL Watch Party coming up at 1 o'clock on Sunday. This Sunday, football starts. Woo! It's going to be a fun weekend, even though I think I have to do some painting. But I may get that done with on Sunday. All right, who do we got calling now? Hey, who's this calling?
Hey, it's Brian Wright. How you doing?
It's Brian Wright. Brian, welcome to the show again, Brian.
Hey, thanks, Mitch. Great to be on.
Thank you very much. Hey, Brian. So a couple things I want to get right into because we could talk forever, I think, about this. So, Brian, what happened? What was your reaction when you found out that Tom passed away?
Well, I was sitting with kind of on like a Zoom call with some of my girlfriend's family, and I think like everyone, when he retired from public life in March 2019, he kind of knew that things were unfortunately taking a downhill turn with regards to his health. So his passing, now that you just think about it, it wasn't, sadly, not all that much of a surprise. But I think considering the magnitude he has with Mets fans, no matter what generation, it was kind of, I related almost to, sadly, when Gary Carter passed away.
Mm-hmm.
He was like a guy I idolized when I first became a Mets fan, and then of course Seaver just is naturally one of those you look up to. Again, no matter what generation of Mets fan you cling to. So I had that same feeling. It was that you kind of knew it was coming, but it was still a gut punch. So that's how I felt when I heard the news.
Yeah, absolutely. We all knew he wasn't in good health. But when that notification came up, I heard my reaction was, oh, what? Oh, no. And then I started I stopped. I was on the couch downstairs in my living room, and I started thinking. And I was thinking about, I actually wasn't thinking about anything except that I was, wow, he passed. Okay. And then as the evening went on, I got sadder and sadder. I kept reading a lot of tweets about him, all the stories that came out. And I actually then started to cry.
I got emotional, obviously, in the immediate aftermath. All I was thinking, I'm 33, so I never saw. I was born in '87.
Mm-hmm.
Right after he retired, he tried to make that comeback with the Mets. So I never saw him in person. But still I was affected. But I thought about the people, and like I called my dad because he had not heard it.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like a family member almost passing away.
Yeah.
So that's why I made a point to call him, because people of his generation, of other people. And then I started to think, I said, well, that broadcast tomorrow is going to be the SNY or the radio broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I started it, feel it again when they opened the SNY broadcast. And then I started to feel it again. I don't know if you saw the video of the home run by Pete Alonso, the video of Howie Rose and Wayne Grandez.
I did.
Yeah, and that was that was the next day the Mets posted that, and I started to feel it again. So it just seems to resurface. You feel the emotions again, and every so often you see something that triggers it. So yeah, it's been it's kind of comes up and every so often. I don't think it's really going to go away, because you're going to find someone's going to the tributes continue to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't end for a long time. They'll never end. In fact,
Yeah.
So you always start thinking about. There'll always be some kind of emotions, some stronger than others, whenever you think about it.
I was talking to somebody today about it, and I'm like, man, I need to talk to a psychologist. What in our brain says, obviously it's okay to cry, and I knew he was dying, he wasn't in good shape, but yet that hit you, and it's like, and then you start, and maybe it's because of the family, and maybe it's because all of the accolades that you're reading about, how it affected everybody. I don't know. It really was weird. Have you ever cried when somebody that you know, besides a friend, like an athlete or an entertainer that you knew passed away? Have they been to that spot yet?
Yeah, well, Seaver was obviously got to me, and like I said, Gary Carter was very. It was a very similar feeling.
Okay.
I remember where I was. Yeah, because that, as I said, I'm 33, and I really started to follow the Mets or become a Mets fan through my dad's 1986 highlight video. Gary Carter was the guy that stood out to me the most. So he was like my first introduction to baseball, specifically
Right.
Through him. So that was again the one that the passing. Again, you knew that was sadly going to happen just because he was just in such failing health.
Yeah.
That was similar. Those are the two that I could really think of because those are so close to just me personally. I think it's Seaver's import. I was really moved and not that I was surprised by it. By the fact of the older people who grew up. I mean, Seaver, the way he made that '69 Mets team, it created a lot of fans. A lot of fans became Mets fans because of 1969,
Mm-hmm.
and in turn they became Seaver fans, and he was a guy they looked up to. He was really an icon, not just the way what he did on the field, but the way he did it, the way he carried himself.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the consummate professional. The way, and it's funny. He sometimes comes off. So you look at these interviews. I mean, there was an interview with Costas, and he knew he was good. I mean, he knew it, and he knew he had a legacy there with the Mets. But he also appreciated everybody else who played the game and played it hard like him, and that's what you like to see. He. But it was really interesting. And this interview with Costas was done. I don't even remember when it was done. I should have remembered the date. And he was watching with Costas as he struck out his 300th guy or 3,000th guy and won his 300th game. And he was getting choked up. And he says, and you and I both know, it's not really about the game. It's about your teammates and your players. And that's what makes him special.
Yeah, he had that mixture of. I mean, as you said, he knew he was good. He was. He reminds me a lot of Jim Palmer.
Yeah.
Just the way how intelligent he was, but also just he knew he was a great pitcher and was not afraid to tell you. I appreciate that kind of mixture. He knew he didn't do it alone, but also he had the talent to perform as well. He wasn't so cocky that he thought it was all because of him. So that's part of what made him so great. That's part of what made him so intelligent was the way he just spoke about pitching. Because he made it seem so simple, but also so artful. He always called it artful.
An art form, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the book, do you go talk about specifically what you wrote about Tom? I mean, you wrote about him saying, and that's sort of the one thing that I carry with me is pitching is an art form. And when you watch pitchers now, you watch the Phillies. I mean, look at what your pitcher did to us 2 days ago, to the Phillies, right? What DeGrom did. I mean, just hitting the corners, knowing what pitch to throw at what count to the specific batter. That's an art form. That's dissecting this art to the utmost. So what did you talk when you did your book about the greatest players? What did you mention about Tom specifically?
Aside from just the general of the highlights of his career, the 10 straight strikeouts at the end of the game,
Mm-hmm.
perfect game in 1969. I definitely mentioned how he approached pitching, as you said, as we talked about art form, but also it was not only the physical aspect, but the mental aspect. I mean, Tom Seaver was never going to be outworked or outsmarted by anyone that opposed him. So that was, and also that mindset carried over to the rest of the Mets, specifically in 1969.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what Tom Seaver, his legacy is, and this is what we've heard in the weeks since his passing, and you could have heard it anytime, is that he basically transformed the image and the perception of the Mets from where they were from 62 through 67 when he got there, and then after 1967, his presence was felt right away, even as a rookie.
Yeah.
And then when Bill Hodges came in as manager in 1968, that helped really form him even more. had a great year in '68 again, and then of course 1969. We all know what happens there. And just his attitude, because in 1969 when the Mets got to 500, they'd never been at 500.
Yes.
That late in the season, I think it was in May.
Mm-hmm.
And teammates wanted to celebrate, and the media wanted to go, "Oh my gosh, Tom, what do you think? You're at 500. You're over 500." And he was just like, "I'm not celebrating now. What's the reason to celebrate? You're mediocre. You're 500." So that kind of attitude change was very important because maybe if a guy like him wasn't in the locker room, the Mets might have gotten complacent. I think they did lose a few after that, but we all know what happened after that.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely touched on how he affected not just the Mets of '69, but the Mets as a whole. I mean, that his importance can't be overstated. And when I see a guy like Jacob deGrom and how wonderful he is, and I love Jacob deGrom. I've loved him ever since he started with the Mets in 2014. He can't do, even though his ERA is right there with Tom Seaver right now, he can't do what Tom Seaver did, unfortunately, because Tom Seaver, as I said, transformed the image of the Mets, and that's something that unfortunately Jacob deGrom can do, and what Tom Seaver did goes beyond just typical normal statistics.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely touched on that. I love how the great story of how he became a Met, because I think everyone wants to.
Oh yes, that's a great story.
Yeah, everyone wants to say that the Mets, the Mets history is just all filled with bad luck, and I think they want to say that ever since '86.
Yes.
It's been just a bunch of bad luck. But if you don't get Tom Seaver, I don't know what happens to the Mets. And from he gets drafted by the Dodgers originally in 1965. They don't pay they don't give him enough money to sign, and goes back to pitching at the University of Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
Braves draft him. They unfortunately reached a deal after USC's season started, but at the same time, because he signed with the Major League Baseball team, the NCAA ruled him ineligible.
Yep.
The commissioner rectified the situation, set up a special lottery. If anyone who could match the Braves' original bonus, and the Phillies, Indians, and Mets are the three that say, "Okay, we want in," and three teams go into a hat, and obviously the Mets are the team that comes out of that hat. So the thing's going to be a lot different, though. The course of the New York Mets would have been a lot different if the Phillies and the Mets came out of that hat.
Yeah, I know. Could you imagine? I mean, yeah, it's just luck, just pure, unadulterated luck is what got him to do that. And like you said, he would have done that. Obviously, he would have done for any of those teams what he did for the Mets, because he was that kind of player. He was just that kind of player. And I was glad you told the story about that, because I did read that the other day about the 500. Yeah, we were 500. So what? I want to win. I want to be a winner. I don't want to be 500. I want to be a winner. And then he went through, and I had totally forgotten. When he got traded, and he and Mr. Devine did not get along, and then after that, Frank Cash, they left him off the roster, and he went to the White Sox.
Yeah, so the Mets somehow decided to let Tom Seaver go inexplicably on two occasions. Obviously, the most notable one is 1977. Which really was a 5-year process. When Gil Hodges passed away in 1972, that was one aspect that led to it, and then when Joe Payson passed away in 1975, it really it put the team in the hands of N. Donald Grant, who was the chairman of the team,
Yes.
and ultimately Payson. So he had a much bigger hand in the organization. And Grant was old school by old school standards, and he just did not understand the modern athlete. Seaver obviously being the epitome of a modern athlete in the mid-'70s who wanted to get more money when free agency came along, and also wanted the team to improve. And Grant thought of this as being greedy, and another person who thought of it as greedy was the notable columnist for the New York Daily News, Dick Young.
Yes.
Who helped write, these scathing columns against Tom Seaver that really, got at Tom Seaver's, that really, Seaver, and the match of the powder keg was on June 15th, 1977, when Dick Young wrote a column that said that Nancy Seaver was
right.
Nolan Ryan's wife because Nolan Ryan was getting more money for the California Angels, and it was not a true story. It was
right.
Some alleged story, and Tom Seaver said, "Well, you're not going to get my wife involved in this. I'm out.
I'm done." Yeah.
And the Mets had no leverage because the trade deadline was June 15th, and the Mets had no leverage, and they just rushed a trade that was for Pat Zachary, Steve Henderson, Doug Flynn, and Dan Norman. 4 players, with all due respect, could never possibly take the place of Tom Seaver.
No.
And Tom Seaver leaves, and all hope goes along with it. And as you said, after he comes back in 1983, after Grant is gone, he returns, has a decent season at 38 years old, 39 years old. Has a decent year. Record isn't that good, but the team wasn't very good. And the Mets leave him, they leave him unprotected on their off-season roster. And it's like a free agency pool. They can take unprotected, where other teams can take unprotected players, and the White Sox take Tom Seaver because the Mets thought, who's going to take 38, 39-year-old Tom Seaver? Well, the White Sox did. And lo and behold, less than 2 years later, he's winning his 300th game
in Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium in the hideous White Sox uniform.
Yeah. Lucky for me, so I got lucky. So I was living in Chicago at the time when he was with the White Sox. So I got to see him pitch with the White Sox. I actually took a picture with a regular camera, by the way, not a digital camera. Back then, I went down to the. I remember going down to the dugout, to the field area, and they actually called his name, and he turned around, and I just got. I think I remember just waving and say, "Hey, welcome to Chicago." I was a fan when you were at the Mets, kind of thing, and nothing big. I don't think he responded much, and then he turned around. But I was like, "Holy crap! I got lucky. I got to watch Seaver again." So that was really. He's just, again, icon of the game. Nobody, in my mind, nobody better. I love Nolan Ryan, but Noli really didn't, back in those days, he was young and he threw fast, but he was also wild. And he didn't have any impact until, later, a little bit later in his, started getting more notoriety in third, fourth, fifth with the strikeouts, and then obviously Noli with the no hitters and the 5,000 strikeouts. So, but Tommy was, and then Noli got better. Actually, Noli got better, almost like Seaver. He aged well. I got to watch Nolan pitch when I was living. I got to live he lived in Houston for 10 years. Got to watch Nolan pitch. It was awesome. I remember Noli pitched, and when he would throw a fastball, the Astrodome wasn't very crowded at the time, and you could hear Noli grunt when he threw a fastball. It was great. But he developed that curveball much better than he ever had in his later years, like Tom did, and he became an artful pitcher. So that art of pitching is, and the thing is also, Brian, I was a pitcher in Little League. So that's one of the reasons why, and I always wonder how does that knee get dirty, right? How did he do that? And that's because he trained, he knew it was off lower body stuff, and he trained that way.
Yeah, his legs were like tree trunks.
Tree trunks, yep.
No one, people, kids always talk about they tried to duplicate this, that kind of drop and drive motion for which he became so noted. But I mean, if you don't have those kind of legs, it's not going to work. And you talk about Nolan Ryan, and Nolan Ryan was just a freak of nature. The way he could, keep going.
Yes.
In his mid-40s.
Oh my gosh.
Insane. As far as overall, standing in Major League history, Nolan Ryan was like 32 games above 500. He was obviously the no hitters are so impressive, and 5,700 strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
But Tom Seaver, I mean, you can make a case. We talk about Tom Seaver as the unquestioned greatest men. You could make a case he's the best right-handed pitcher in the modern era.
Yeah.
When you consider that, I'm trying to remember this one. It's the only two pitchers in the history of Major League Baseball with 300 wins, 3,000 strikeouts, and a ERA under 3.
Yeah.
It was Tom Seaver and Walter Johnson.
Well, and then you look back, Brian. Look at the ERAs now. The game's changed, but I don't know that pitchers even now playing can imagine an ERA even under 3, right? This guy was 2.2, 2.1. I mean, for an entire season, it was just amazing. And it was great that he got to move out. We went back to California and bought the vineyard. And I know you read Eric Sherman's book, Art Shamsky's, with that trip out there, and how cool it was for them to take Buddy Harrelson and Swoboda and Koosman, and how cool that must have been to just sit there with those guys and talk about Mets baseball. Eric was lucky to get there. Eric was lucky to get this thing done with Art.
Yeah, I would have been. I would have paid money to be a fly on the wall and just sit back and just listen to him talk. I don't think I would have said a word. I would just said go, and I'm sure Eric probably did like that as the great writer and the great baseball fan that he is.
Yeah,
he soaked in every moment.
Yeah, and the book is tremendous. It's just a great read. So one thing I did want to ask you. So another guy, author, do you know Ethan Bryan?
The name does not ring a bell.
So Ethan wrote a book that came out today.
Okay.
It's called Having a Catch. 365 days a year, he had a catch. And it's about what he learned about life, basically, by having a catch. Started with a conversation with his daughters at a dinner table in the winter, and from there it progressed, and he had a catch every day of the year for a year. And he wrote about it, and the book came out today. And I was talking about having a catch and what that means, what that does, what it's like. Have you ever had a catch?
The last time I had a catch actually was with my girlfriend. Actually, we went to a park in DC. We've done it a couple times. We just throw the ball around, and I haven't done it, and I hadn't done it in a long time. It makes you feel. It does make you feel like a kid again. So that's definitely an interesting book.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad to do it because it's just I don't know. I just like to throw the ball around. It's just a lot of fun. Like, I guess again, makes you feel young.
It does, and the thing is, I was talking to before you came on. I was talking about, when you have a catch, you don't have to talk, right? You can just have a catch, and that could be with a glove and a baseball or a softball, or without a glove, and a kickball or a ping pong ball, or just having. Because I feel you can learn about a person, even as a stranger, like Ethan did, by just having a catch. Those conversations, for some reason, boundaries go down, and you're able to talk pretty much about anything. And that's what I love about having a catch. So I can't wait to read Ethan's book, because I want to hear his stories about what he actually did. And I wanted to find out from you, because we never talked about this, what it's like to have a catch and what does it make you feel like?
Yeah, no, that's definitely interesting. I'll have to pick up that book by Ethan. But yeah, no, if you would have asked me maybe a couple years ago, I don't think I've had one since like my dad.
Yeah.
I haven't had one in like 10 years. So, I forget how interesting it is. Again, and how much fun it is. And yeah, you don't have to say anything. You just have to throw it back and forth, and that's all you need. It's not no need for a conversation. It's all right there.
Yeah, listen, if you maybe more meeting for us who love baseball, right? But it's almost like me wanting to say, hey, everybody, go out there, get outside, grab any ball you want and take a friend or two and have a catch and see what happens. See what the conversation's like. See what comes up, because it's almost like it can be a bonding experience. Different than when you're on a team like I was and playing men's senior league baseball, and you'd have a catch and you'd warm up and you wouldn't say anything because you were warming up. But go find a stranger, go find somebody that you may know and say, hey, let's meet and have a catch. It'd be interesting to see what comes up, And Ethan obviously did that, so it'd be fun to get his book.
No, I'll definitely pick it up. It sounds interesting.
All right, last thing, Brian, your Mets and my Phillies split. Luckily, did you see what the Phillies did today? Almost.
I missed it. All I saw, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm closed-minded, but all I saw was that Didi Gregorius, who's on my fantasy team, was on my bench and had a very good first game against the Red Sox.
He did. Have you seen this kid Alec Boehm with the Phillies play yet?
He is a spitting image of Jason Worth.
Isn't he though?
Yeah.
But he played. I'm telling you, this is the kid that we haven't been looking for to play defense and to hit for years. He had I was betting people on the air that he would strike out on a knuckle curveball, and it got to a 2-2 count. And I look and I get a notification that Didi was on second and Mario Muto was on third, and he won the game with a base hit.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I was going ape crap because of our bullpen stinks.
That was the fun thing about not fun. It wasn't fun for the Mets. It was temporarily fun. Was seeing which bullpen could.
Yeah, last night. Yeah.
So to speak. You see the Phillies bullpen implode. Then the Mets bullpen gives it back, and then of course the coup de grace was the 2-run homer in the top of the.
Yes.
So,
And
the Phillies tried to give this game away. They were like, have it. The Mets were like, no, we don't want any part of that. So,
yeah, Brian, thank you for tweeting out with me last night. That was fun.
I was just like, oh my goodness, it's like, it's you. Once you see what a bad bullpen is like, and then you watch the Phillies, and you're like, oh my gosh, because the Phillies have, you mentioned that have good players. Zach Wheeler, I think, was a mistake for the Mets not to re-sign him.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Really shown how talented he is with the Phillies so far this year.
Yeah.
It was fun to interact with someone who's not cynical or any sort, because sometimes I can maybe tweet things a little sarcastically.
Yeah, no, that's fine. All right, listen. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it on short notice. It's great that I can talk Mets with you and history, because even though you're 33, you wrote your book and you know so much. So I appreciate your knowledge and your interest for doing this.
Well, thank you so much, Mitch. It was great to be on with you again.
All right, Brian. Be safe, stay safe, and let's go Phillies. And you can say let's go Mets.
Oh, I will say let's go Mets. Well, we can talk about our mutual interest in the Eagles. We can talk about that.
Oh, okay, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that again. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Brian.
Stay safe, Mitch.
Take care.
All right, you too.
All right, bye-bye. All right, folks, that was a great conversation with Brian Wright. He has an interest in the Eagles, so maybe we'll get him on later during football season. All right, that's just about it for me this evening. Hope you enjoyed the show. I appreciate you sticking with me throughout. And it is time now to go watch my Phillies hopefully win another game. No bets there for me for sure. And I got to eat some dinner. I'm kind of hungry. So everybody out there, stay safe. Continue to do so. Appreciate you listening. Replays will be out tomorrow on Twitter and on Facebook. And feel free to DM me and send me your name and email address if you want to get in my survivor pool, which entries close in about 2 hours. We will see you next week on 12 Ounce Sports. Everybody have a good night, a good week. Watch us on Sunday. Blue Show Thursday. Take